Welcome to another episode of the African Princess Besse-Mariam. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe so that you can be notified whenever a new episode comes up. Thank you.
In the last episode, Princess Besse-Mariam was separated from her royal companions Dembo and Tafa upon being chased by the wicked forest witch Rania. She fell inside a tree trunk where hidden inside was a tunnel, which transported her to the underwater world of the water nymph tribe. She met exciting friendly water nymphs and the village elder Binta, who promised to help her rescue her friends from the clutches of the wicked forest witch Rania. Princess Besse-Mariam was also told about the true location of the legendary magical waterfall, and together with her water nymph friends, finally undertook an adventurous journey to it. Stay tuned to discover what happens next.
Princess Besse-Mariam and her water nymph friends rode swiftly on the majestic white horses towards the direction of the legendary magical waterfall. She watched in wonder as the sea-green water slowly transformed into an exotic shade of pink and green as they rode on the magical sea. She saw the most beautiful fishes in different shades of pink, gold, and yellow swimming contently inside the sparkly pink-green ocean. And to her delight, she saw two mermaids who appeared to be identical twins expertly gliding through the water. They came out briefly from the water, giving her a cheery smile before bobbing back into the water and disappearing from sight. Finally, one of the girls announced that they had reached the outskirts of the legendary magical waterfall, and this is where they had to depart from Princess Besse-Mariam, as only a select few could go beyond this point. Princess Besse-Mariam's heart fluttered with fear, but she smiled and put on a brave face, thanking them for accompanying her and coming so far with her. However, Princess Besse-Mariam's natural curiosity took over, and before long, her fear was replaced with wonder and curiosity as she took in the breathtaking sights before her. She saw a family of colorful zebras grazing lazily as they slowly made their way towards her. And in the far distance, she could make out the legendary magical waterfall gushing forth between two huge mountains, and she hastened her footsteps in anticipation. She was filled with excitement and could not believe that this moment had finally arrived. She was finally going to see the magical waterfall. However, a big shadow suddenly filled the horizon, and a majestic giant black panther materialized before Princess Besse-Mariam. In a deep voice, it roared a greeting to Princess Besse-Mariam and welcomed her to the land of the legendary magical waterfall. The panther announced that his name was Tombaloo, and he was the guardian of the legendary magical waterfall. He explained that the legendary magical waterfall chose who to bestow its powers, and Princess Besse-Mariam was one of the lucky few it had chosen. However, to unlock its power, Princess Mariam was required to undergo a few tests, and only upon being victorious will she be deemed truly worthy to receive the magical powers of the legendary magical waterfall. In that instant, the surroundings of Princess Besse-Mariam was transformed, and she found herself in a narrow, dimly lit, mystical cave illuminated by fireflies. They floated and flew around her, whispering gentle words of encouragement and urging her not to give up. This filled Princess Besse-Mariam with hope and a strengthened resolve to keep going. However, as she walked deep into the cave, the illuminated light of the fireflies gradually faded and slowly thinned away, disappearing from sight, and the cave was filled with a blue ultralight glow. Princess Besse-Mariam suddenly heard a loud, deafening sound. and an enormous black iron gate suddenly appeared before her, entrapping and blocking her from moving further. Princess Besse-Mariam willed herself not to panic as she carefully assessed the situation before her. She looked out for any wide opening big enough for her to slide through and went around the length of the gate carefully. She bravely kept searching in this dimly lit cave, and to her relief, she finally found a wide gap at the corner of the cave, wide enough for her to pass through. However, as she got inside the cave, she was propelled forward by an invisible force, and she suddenly found herself in a beautiful, enchanted garden. Standing in this luscious and colorful garden were a few men and women beautifully dressed in colorful Gambian attires. However, they had forlorn expressions on their faces, which puzzled Princess Besse-Mariam. She called out a greeting of salam to them, and they quietly responded back. One of the men came forward and asked her if she had also been banished to the Garden of Regret due to her bad behavior in the surface world. Princess Besse-Mariam nodded no in puzzlement and introduced herself as Princess Besse-Mariam of Bansang. The men's and women's eyes lit up upon hearing this and called out a greeting of welcome to her. The man, whose name was Fa-Ma'ara, told Princess Besse-Mariam that they had been her subjects once upon a time in the surface world. They had lived in the village and its outskirts and had separately traveled in pursuit of the legendary magical waterfall. However, all of them had come up to this point, and entrapped ever since in the Garden of Regret, due to the awful things they had done to people back in their villages. Fa-Ma'ara explained that once upon a time, well before Princess Besse-Mariam was born, he served as a mayor in Gambisara, a nearby village of Bansang. However, he had lied to his people before he was brought into power, promising to them that he will bring about great progress and development. However, as soon as he was successfully appointed as a mayor, he quickly ignored his promise to the people and stole all their wealth. He heard of the legendary magical waterfall and came in pursuit of more power and wealth, but he came up to this point and had not been able to live ever since. A softly spoken woman also called out a greeting and introduced herself as Sohna. She explained that she had also lived in the kingdom of Bansang with her husband and 2 children. However, her husband had 2 other children in a previous marriage whom she had been deeply jealous of. Although her husband appeared to love all his children and treated them all equally, she was still not satisfied, so she frequently sowed discord between her husband and these 2 children until there was great resentment and anger between her husband and these children. She had traveled to the legendary magical waterfall to gain powers that she could use to permanently separate her husband and his other 2 children. She had reached up to this point in her journey and had been trapped ever since. A raspy voice also sang out a greeting and introduced herself as Kumba. She explained that whilst she lived amongst her people in the surface world, she had thrived on gossip and hurting people. She disliked anyone becoming more successful or popular than her, and she came between close friends and even broke a few marriages. She had never felt any form of regret until she became trapped in the Garden of Regret and was forced to reflect on all what she had done. They all expressed regret and sadness for what they had done to people, and as Princess Besse-Mariam listened to these stories, she was filled with a great sense of wisdom, and she understood why she had been brought to meet her long-lost village subjects, and she perceived the profound patience her subjects had exercised in the Garden of Regret and the wisdom they had gained as a result of this. She knew in that instant the lesson she was meant to learn from listening to their stories, and made a firm resolve in her heart to be always guided by this noble quality when executing her duties as a princess. She told her subjects she will help them reunite with their loved ones and to come along with her to the legendary magical waterfall. However, in that instant, a giant fiery fire monster appeared before them, its footsteps shaking the ground with each thud. The fire monster's towering frame blocked their way forward, and its huge hands reached down as if to grab them. Quick on her feet, and with her heart filled with courage, Princess Besse-Mariam sprang forward and screamed with all her might, commanding the fiery monster's attention. She spoke of kindness and the importance of peaceful existence, which miraculously subdued the giant fiery fire monster. To her amazement, a huge tunnel of water appeared, which caused the giant fiery fire monster to promptly disappear. A voice called out that Princess Besse-Mariam had passed her test, but she must journey to the legendary magical waterfall alone. She bade farewell to her companions and promised to come back for them, and in that instant, a swirly, colorful tunnel appeared, and the voice called out to Princess Besse-Mariam to enter it. Princess Besse-Mariam did as she was told, and at the end of the tunnel, she came out to find a beautiful, winged, chestnut-colored horse waiting for her. The horse introduced himself as Matar and told her that he will be flying her to the legendary magical waterfall. Finally, they reached the legendary magical waterfall, and the sight that beheld Princess Besse-Mariam filled her with elation as she was greeted by beautiful dwarf-like creatures drumming a joyful, upbeat Gambian tune of welcome to her. As she faced the legendary magical waterfall, she felt a sense of gratefulness, and a renewed sense of purpose and determination surged through her veins as she reflected on all that she had seen and achieved in her quest to get to the legendary magical waterfall. She also thought of the challenges that lay ahead, but knew as she dived into the refreshing magical water that she could overcome absolutely anything. She sang a soft, melodious tune to herself as she felt the magical powers of the water envelop her and its magic enter her.
Join us to find out what happens next. Will Princess Besse-Mariam ever go back up to the surface world? And will she ever rescue her friends from the clutches of the evil forest witch Rania? You do not want to miss this.